Hi, welcome to our Metal Reactions channel. I'm Brad.
I'm Alena.
That was your first time seeing our new intro clip. I hope you enjoyed it. It was made by my friend Shayne Capazorio. If you're looking for graphic design work to be done for you, you can find his email in the description below.
We have exciting news. We have launched a second tier on our Patreon, and those who are signed up for it can make a request every month, and we will make a reaction video to the song of your choosing.
It's 15 euros per month at the time of recording, but may change depending on demand. We've allocated 30 slots to this per month just so that we know we're able to fulfill all the requests.
30 requests is a lot.
Okay, so we are back to Tool.
Yeah.
Now, I lied because
What?
I said we were moving on to the next album, but there were a lot of requests coming in for Third Eye and specifically to do another Ænima album version and Salival live double listen. So we're doing that, and next time we will move on to the next album.
Okay, I forgive you.
Okay. So obviously not a song that you've heard before. I know the album version again, but not the live version. So that'll be a first time reaction for me.
Cool. I just want to note that since we started the channel, I'm not allowed to listen to any new music. Everything is regulated now.
We get saved for here. There's a Tool playlist. There's a Tool playlist if you want to see all the other Tool reactions that we've done in the order that we did them. And just shout outs for the requests for this song were Luke Dolphine, Cran Boogie, Resin 47, a very difficult name, Vojeshira, Rayman 69, and Tim Farrow.
Okay.
See, I think drugs have done some good things for us. I really do. And if you don't believe drugs have done good things for us, do me a favor. Go home tonight, take all your albums, all your tapes, and all your CDs and burn them. Because you know what? The musicians who made all that great music that's enhanced your lives throughout the years, real fucking high on drugs.
Realize that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There's no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather.
It's not a war on drugs, it's a war on personal freedom is what it is, okay? Keep that in mind at all times. Thank you.
Sorry, I had to find somewhere. I couldn't find anywhere to pause there.
You shouldn't have.
I closed my eyes and opened it. I was like, whoa, 4.5 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's like the length of a normal song, and I didn't even realize. I just got lost in there a bit.
Yeah, well, it's easy to get lost. I mean, the sound is sort of trippy. I was thinking that it reminds me a little bit of Pink Floyd, with their super long songs where the music just, I don't know, travels. And it also reminds me a bit of The Doors. Especially, I remember the film The Doors, when they were sort of going into the desert and spending time there just taking drugs and writing music and breaking through to the other side. It's what this whole song basically reminds me of. Yeah, I mean, the sound is just captivating. It just comes in waves. It sort of goes to one theme and then goes in circles sort of around it, intensifies, and then moves to another one. I think that's why it's this wavy effect, because of that. And the way the instruments are combined is just so weird. There is no, I don't know, it seems at first it seems like there is no harmony, but then they just, there's, I don't know, it's just some kind of weird harmony.
Ties up in the end.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's not following a tried and tested formula of some pop formula or something. Okay, let's get back in. Sorry to have dragged you out.
Shrouding all the ground around me is this holy crow above me, black as holes within a memory, blue as our new second sun. I stick my hand into the shadow, pull the pieces from the sand, which I attempt to reassemble. See just who I might have been. I do not recognize the vessel, but the eyes seem so familiar, like phosphorescent desert buttons, singing one familiar song.
outro with nothing. So,
I think this whole song kind of reminds me of the scene in the movies when a traveler comes to some tribe living in the wild, and they treat him to some mushrooms or some special drink, and then he goes on a trip, like a personal journey. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. I think mostly because of this like preface speech in the beginning. Yeah, it's very trippy.
I think intentionally so.
Yeah.
I think it is supposed to be a trip unto itself.
Yeah, and it does the job well. I don't know. I mean, I can't say anything about the music because it's just whatever you say, it's not gonna describe what it feels like, because it does feel like more like an action than just music.
Yeah, it's. I think it's all about feeling there. Like, it's hard to describe something like that because I mean, if you're listening as well, you would have felt what we felt probably.
Like they say about LSD experiments, that when people take LSD, then they can see a sound and color. So instead of like when they hear sound, they sort of see colors. So it's basically, for me, it was kind of probably the closest this song.
Yeah, that's
it's like everything is blending and moving, and it's just this weird abstraction that's happening throughout the whole song that just puts you in this kind of trance that you never wanted to end.
That actually reminded me, as a side note, there are people that see or hear and taste music, like it'll give them tastes or see colors and that sort of thing. My brother actually has a friend who has that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like different music sounds like different colors to him. And there's another musician we'll be doing at some stage, Devin Townsend. I've heard him talk about like describe music as colors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it actually is, there's people who have that just naturally. But, yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I mean, I think the music is so trance-like. It like puts me to sleep. I'm like extremely sleepy and calm now. It's like difficult to talk and do a reaction when like be talkative when you've like just been put into this deep trance kind of state.
Yeah, because you have to like drag yourself out of it.
Exactly. It's like
go back to reality, to the harsh reality.
Yeah, like this music has like forced you in, and now you have to pull yourself out, which almost seems like the opposite of what the song wanted you to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, lyrically, I think it's quite straightforward in its overall meaning.
Like traveling to the inner self or something like that.
Yeah. Do you know the third eye? Have you heard about this concept?
Like an inner vision, kind of.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but it's sort of just a higher state of enlightenment. So seeing beyond what's in front of you, seeing the true meaning of things. Something along those lines.
They sometimes depict like the mystical creatures, the gods of the third eye.
Gods, yeah. So yeah, I mean, pretty much just drug-induced that state. Yeah, exactly. Using drugs to assist in reaching that state of enlightenment, forcefully prying open the third eye.
Well, how else can you do that?
I wouldn't know. Can't speak from experience on it.
I don't know. It seems like it's not only about because of that passage at the beginning, and it was like 3 citations, I think, from different. It wasn't just like one piece. It was 3 different citations from different performances, I suppose. It was not only talking about like discovering your new self or getting to that state of enlightenment, but also that it's sort of about personal freedom. That this state would not would actually allow you to be free in the society. And I also like how there were those colors. The blue color was quite often there.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well. I don't know what the blue means. Do you have an idea?
No, not really, but the sun was blue, then the raven was black and blue. The face at the beginning, dreaming of the face again is bright and blue and shimmering. So possibly blue color has some meaning here.
Yeah,
symbolic meaning.
I think for sure. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys can let us know. But I also picked up blue seems to have a very big importance in the song.
Yeah, and I also noticed how it talks about I stick my hand into the shadow to pull the pieces from the sand. I think it's a reference to that 46 and 2 song that we listened to, because it's also talking about the shadow and basically reaching through the shadow, which I think, well, it's the same thing, right? To like a personal enlightenment and becoming a better human. So possibly like this trip actually allows to get in touch with that part of yourself which is somehow probably asleep.
Perhaps this is the... Sorry, carry on.
It is the same album.
I was going to say, it's the same album, and this is the last track on that album. I just wanted to give you some context.
That actually makes sense, because from what we've heard, and I think for Tool, like compared to all other bands that we're listening to, we are going like very thorough through the whole album and picking like the majority of the songs we have already listened
so far.
Yeah, and I think this song is like as close to like this final state of enlightenment that the character of the song is getting. And apparently it's reachable through drugs, which is interesting. Although it doesn't say anything about it specifically, it just like at the beginning those phrases, but it's not part of the actual. Yeah, it says the mood. So
the context.
You kind of start thinking in that direction. Although the song maybe not particularly saying anything about it. It's just saying about dreaming basically. So in your dream, so those weird characters are happening, and possibly this voice, like so good to see you, I missed you so much. So possibly it's that like hidden side of personality that's awakened and that you get a chance to meet. And actually by the end of it, if you scroll, can you scroll? Mm-hmm. So in the end it says, so good to see you once again. I thought that you were hiding from me. You thought that I had run away. So I think in the song, so he was sort of like running away, but now... Oh, I like that phrase, chasing a trail of smoke and the reason, because it's the synonym to smoke and mirrors a little bit. I think so. Basically, reason is as deceitful as the mirrors or something like that, since it's replaceable with that word.
Okay, possibly.
Yeah.
I found in the beginning part, like talking about this whole today young men on acid realize that all matter is purely energy condensed into a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There's no such thing as death. Life is only a dream within the imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather. It's like, framed like a news anchor delivering this news. Mm-hmm. I thought it was quite an interesting little twist, the way that they framed it. And then after this like life-changing sort of monologue, and here's Tom with the weather. It's got such good comedic value as well.
Interesting. It says life is only a dream with the imagination of ourselves, and then it talks all about dreaming. So maybe it's not happening even in the dream. It's like it's the real life that is a dream.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think that's the intention there. And I suppose you can only see and understand all that context once your third eye is open. Something like that. What else was quite interesting was the way it talks about I can't see it now, but like the eye was there and wiping away the webs and the dew from my withered eye. So that implies that the eye used to be open and then closed, and you know, it just hasn't been used in a long time. So to me, it's almost like reopening the third eye. So I'm wondering if that implies that third eye is open as a child, you know, or you're born with it open, and then along the way it closes, and now it's to like pry it open again.
But then it says in, out, so maybe it's like opening, closing.
Perhaps.
And then it also says the child's rhyme stuck in my head, so also reference to
Could be the child. It says life is but a dream. The only place I've heard that phrase in that way, maybe you don't know it because of English, but it's like an English children's nursery rhyme, row your boat. I don't know if you've heard of it. So it's just like row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. I think that's how it goes, if I can remember. So life is but a dream, and that is a children's rhyme then. So I think that's what that's referring to. So
children are more insightful.
Maybe that implies, that as a child you maybe have this third eye open, and then life and society and adulthood and growing up, etc., closes it. I don't know.
Or the government closes it by taking away your drugs.
Perhaps. But the children had the ability without drugs.
Yeah.
And as adults, you need drugs to...
It's just too much.
Bypass conditioning or something like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay. Anything else to add, or shall we get on to the live version?
Yeah, let's hear another version.
Okay.
Think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Throughout human history, as our species has faced the frightening, terrorizing fact that we do not know who we are or where we're going in this ocean of chaos, it has been the authorities, the political, the religious, the educational authorities who attempted to comfort us by giving us order, rules, regulations, forming in our minds their view of reality. To think for yourself, you must question authority and learn how to put yourself in a state of vulnerable, open-mindedness, chaotic, confused vulnerability to inform yourself. Think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself,
many is a question. So good to see you. I miss you so much. So glad it's over. I miss you so much. Came out to watch you play. Why you running away? Came out to watch you play. Shrouding all the ground around me is the soul that grew above me. Black as holes within a memory. Blue as our new second sun. I stick my hand into the shadow. Pull the pieces from the sand. Try attempt to reassemble. To just joy might have been. I do not recognize the vessel, but the eyes seem so familiar, like phosphorescent desert buttons, singing one familiar song.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's so complicated. I can't see I can't see right away what are the differences between the version. Well, obviously it begins with a different kind of citation, but
Yeah.
yeah. But other than that, I don't think I noticed like striking differences in the sound.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that with the previous double listen that we did, like the whole style of the song was completely different. It gave a whole different like atmosphere almost. This was very similar, at least, you know, on a first listen, other than, as you say, the bit in the beginning, which is interesting because it gives a bit of a different slant on it, but we'll get into that. The thing that I find with the live performances for Tool is Maynard's voice is just so much more impressive in the live stuff. Probably because, like, as people have explained to us in the comments, like his voice is just used as another instrument, right? So on the album versions, I feel like it's deliberately subdued or distorted or blended or faded or whatever the case may be, so that it's more sort of artistically sound, like it keeps the integrity of the artwork or something like that, as opposed to him just showing off how beautiful his voice is. But sometimes it's like, be a little less humble, Maynard, like, you've got an amazing voice, like, show me what you got. And I feel like it just comes through a little stronger in the live performances. His singing pieces in this, when he's not shouting, I mean, like his actual singing parts are so soothing. His tone is just like, it's matches so perfectly with this like going into a trance state. Almost like want him to read you a bedtime story. I noticed the guitar in a few places. There was a piece somewhere in the middle in 13 minutes of song was like really fast and striking. It sort of stood out to me more than it does in the album version. But that's just me. But yeah, I agree. Not as easy to tell the differences.
Yeah, probably there are differences, but I just wouldn't be able. So some things they seem. I don't remember. Did I hear that in the first version or not?
Also, to be fair, you're dealing with like 13 minutes of song. I listened to once, so it's really, really hard. Even if it was like a 3-minute song, it would be a difficult exercise if it's quite similar. But
yeah, I think it's an impossible exercise.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so anything else there, or do you want to get into the lyrical difference in the?
Yeah, I have nothing to say about the instrumental parts.
Okay, so yeah, lyrically it's interesting because there's less of the focus on the drug element and more on the conformity, you know, questioning authority, that sort of thing, which if I look at the previous one that spoke about personal freedom as the third of the 3 sort of preambles.
Yeah, it was like a bypass mention, but here it's the central topic of it all.
Yeah.
Is that you sort of have to I mean, if you want to oppose the institution, then you gotta find that inner freedom and possibly like to grow as a person. But it also says about like, I think it points out how scary it is and difficult it is, because the whole point of those rules is basically make people not to be so scared. Like, why are they following rules? Because without rules, they're just so scared of themselves and of the world, and they don't know what's happening. And rules and regulations, they give a certain meaning. It might be like thrown on shallow meaning, but it helps to get by. But if you choose to be that enlightened person, then be ready to be vulnerable and to not know the answers. And like, basically, I think open-mindedness here, it means not only accepting, but just accepting the fact that you might not know anything, you know. And that's hard.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, like putting yourself in that position when you realize that there is nothing tangible about this world that I know for certain.
He even says to put yourself in a state of vulnerable open-mindedness.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah, that's fair. I'm wondering why they did this in the follow-up. Like, I wonder if they... I've got two schools of thought. Either they thought their message was not really getting through in the album version, like maybe people took too much to the drug side, you know, the act of it side, and didn't really pay attention or weren't cognizant of the reason for why we're doing this, which is, you know, to see through the
sort of confuse the means and the purpose.
Exactly. So you know, to question authority, maybe they were trying to more focus on the purpose for why you need to be enlightened. That's the one school of thought. The other school of thought is maybe it's just boring to do the exact same three things again for a live performance. They just want to change it up. I don't know.
I feel like this passage is much more serious than was in the album version. In the album version, it was more like a joke.
It was humorous. Like both the two of the first three both had humorous elements to it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one's a comedian.
Yes, and here even the way it was spoken was like in this serious voice, like the anchor on TV or on the radio or something.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Did you have a preference?
No, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. I think I still am preferring the album versions just because, as you said, they're more tuned to be like to have this perfect product, perfect sound, while the live versions are raw, and that's what you like, right, about it?
His voice, certainly. So in the live version, firstly, I think I do prefer the album version as well. I'm just pointing out the elements of the live version that I like. So his voice I like more in the live versions. And what I'm curious about is how much of that live version was like a backtrack in terms of the there's all the weird sounds and stuff that are happening because we don't have, you know, visuals of the live performance. I don't know how much of that is actually being made instrumentally live, especially because there's so much like weird stuff happening versus what's a backtrack being played. There were parts of it where I could hear distinctly like there was live guitar being played, live drums being played. And when it's a live performance like that, although we can't see it, you know, I just have much better appreciation for the skill of the musicians to be able to play these things, especially that like really fast guitar part and etc. etc. But I find myself wondering often throughout that live performance, are they doing this live? Is this a real sound being made now, or is this just part of the backtrack that's creating the atmosphere? Not something on the
questioning, thinking for yourself.
True.
As they said.
True. Questioning Tool's authority.
Yeah. I think I need a bit more practice to distinguish between the album versions and the live versions.
Yeah, that'll come up, I'm sure, with many listens.
Like 5 songs are not enough.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking with the live version is, I mean, we're just two people sitting, you know, in a house with a camera on and going into like this trance-like state, and that's great even by itself. Like that's an awesome experience. But can you imagine being like seeing the song live and having that whole experience with the people creating it live for you, with hundreds or thousands or whatever of other people, all or mostly doing the same thing?
I don't know how safe it is.
I think to see a performance like that live must be incredible. I'm sure many of you have seen Tool live.
I haven't.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately only new to Europe now, where I, have bands like this accessible to me, because previously very few bands would come to South Africa.
Yeah, lucky you. And everything is cancelled.
And now it's Corona, and I can't do anything. So I'll have to wait longer.
Yeah. but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Anything else?
No.
Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Another long one, but a few comments were saying never apologize for long videos.
So we're not gonna.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for watching.